Hi guys, my name is Shivani and you're welcome to Happy Holi. Today we are going to be talking about C-section recovery. Now, I got a bunch of questions asking me, if I had any kind of discomfort in my stitches when I went in for my VBAC, which was my vaginal delivery after my C-section. And, I completely understand where that is coming from because, when I was kind of trying for a VBAC, my first sort of concern was, okay, I hope my stitches are going to be okay and they're not going to fail me. If you have watched my VBAC story, you know that, the gap between both my deliveries was not even 2 years, so the C-section happened in 2018 and 2020, the next baby came along. So in this kind of a scenario, it became all the more imperative, that my recovery from my first C-section had to be really on point to kind of help set me up for success for my VBAC. So I think a C-section recovery has two components. The first is how good of a job your doctor has done on your C-section, and that sort of sets you up for success if that operation was done well, which in my case it was done in a beautiful manner. And the second thing is, how good was your C-section recovery? What are the kind of things that you did and or did not do to ensure that you recovered well? So in my case, I do believe there were a few things that I did which really helped with my recovery, and I'm going to share that with you today. So the first thing I want you to keep in mind is that when you are recovering from a C-section, you are recovering from two things. The first is an operation, which is a C-section. It is a major abdominal surgery. And the second is childbirth itself. So to recover from both these things, the first thing I believe played a very important part was rest. So of course everyone tells you to rest after you deliver a baby, but in C-section it becomes all the more important. It is especially important that you are lying down a lot more than you're sitting up, which is what I tried to do. And one thing that really helped to that effect was, learning how to feed the baby in a lying down position. If you're choosing to breastfeed, sitting and feeding your baby can be really trying on your stitches, So the fact that I learned how to do this, it took me 3 weeks. But once I learned to do this and my baby and I got the hang of it, it was a total lifesaver because, I could just lie down and I could feed the baby and, somebody else would burp the baby. And for nighttime feedings especially, this was very helpful because the baby is, sleeping next to you, the baby feeds and goes to sleep and you get more sleep, and this is what I found worked the best for us. Of course, you can read and research about co-sleeping and sleeping in a lying down position, but it worked beautifully for me. The second thing is massage. Now 10 days after my delivery, I started getting a massage. Now this is the traditional Indian massage that a lot of women get, and you typically have one local person who is like very good at giving these massages, and I kind of enlisted the services of one massage lady, and she would come home and she would administer this massage. And 10 days after my delivery, I started with my back and legs, and 6 weeks after the operation, I started with a full body massage including the abdomen area. That really played a very important part in my healing is what I feel. This massage is done with an oil of your choice. In my case, it was sesame oil. If you have seen my postpartum must-haves video, sesame oil features very highly on that list, and the reason is that sesame oil is warming and grounding, and it is extremely good for recovery. It is one of the only oils that penetrates through all of your 7 layers, all of your 7 tissues, and so that makes this oil very good, especially for post-delivery massages. The next thing is food. So the diet protocol I followed after my C-section was a fairly strict one. No outside food, only home cooked food, very little spice, lots of ghee, and basically things like, porridge and your dalia and khichdi. These things with ghee and a lot of bottle gourd, which is lauki, so a lot of that. And the idea behind this diet is to also prevent constipation, because if you can prevent constipation, you can actually prevent a lot of other challenges. So preventing constipation is key. And the second is rebuilding the body. So to rebuild the body, I had a lot of traditional Indian postpartum foods like these I have also mentioned in my postpartums must-have videos, like Gond Laddu and Panjiri and all of that. So this, I believe, contributed greatly to the internal healing of the body. The next thing was activity, and by activity I mean primarily focusing on keeping myself mobile. Right from the get-go, you know, from the hospital itself, I was walking around, and you know, I was trying to be as normal as possible. So I would walk slowly, but I would kind of keep myself very mobile, which is what I was also advised by my doctor to do, which I think was great advice. So of course the idea is to not stress yourself out, but you know, if you keep yourself mobile, I do believe it really helps, you know, the body to kind of also be well on its way to recovery. The next thing I did was consuming Ayurvedic supplements and medicines. So you know, under the guidance of my Ayurvedic doctor, I consumed Ayurvedic herbs and medicines for at least 3 months post-delivery. These not only helped me in recovering from my C-section, but also, you know, it prevented hair fall, any other skin issues, a lot of other problems that you typically face post-delivery. I was able to avoid because I was consuming these Ayurvedic medicines. The next thing was exercise. You know, so 4 to 5 months after I delivered the baby, I started with yoga under a teacher, and I continued that for, you know, around 4 to 5 months, and then I went on to weight training, which I did for 2 to 3 months before I conceived again. The next thing is precautions. So in terms of precautions, you know, typically doctors tell you not to lift anything heavier than your baby, and that is what I did. And no jerky movements, everything to be done in a very sort of relaxed manner, and that is what I did. Closely tied into this point is the point of more support. I do believe that you know, every woman recovering from childbirth requires support, but in a C-section it is even more so than in you know, in any other case. So you know, I'm a big believer in creating the right support system during your pregnancy itself, because that really sort of pays you rich dividends, you know, in your postpartum period. My partner was extremely helpful. I remember for many months after the baby was born, he was the one doing the nighttime diaper changes, which was very helpful for me. You know, I had the option of you know, in the morning around 6 o'clock giving the baby to somebody else, and you know, getting a couple of hours of extra sleep. So these things are very important from recovery point of view, and you know, this I do believe helped a lot. Because of the medicines, because of precautions and the massage, my stitches healed really well, and you know, there was no problem in my stitches. In spite of all of this, there are a few things I wish I had done differently. You know, if I were to do them today again, this is what I would do differently. The first thing is getting more rest and getting more sleep. You know, so a lot of people will tell you sleep when the baby sleeps, but you know how hard that is, right? And I found it extremely hard as well. But you know, this is one thing I would do differently. It really impacted my recovery in an adverse way because I did not rest enough. I rested, but I could have rested more. I could have slept more. So that is one tip I can give you. The next thing is exercise. While exercise of course is very good for your body, I would only recommend it, you know, if your nighttime feedings have stopped. So my baby continued nursing at night, you know, even when he was 14 months, you know, when finally I had to wean him off because I had conceived again. But, you know, with the nighttime nursing and, you know, during the day you're trying to exercise, I felt very depleted by the end of it. And this is not something I would recommend. This time around, you know, I've decided till I night wean my baby, I am not getting into an exercise protocol. So that is another tip I have for you, that, you know, figure that bit out before you kind of embark on an exercise regime. So those are all the tips that I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and till the next time we meet, please take care of yourself, and all the best, and bye.